So be very careful what you repeatedly feed your mind. From survival to expansion, a large part of our life can become centered around survival. So, how much money do I have? How much does that person have? Comparison, and why is their business doing better? And why haven't I got this? Why, if I lose this? What happens if I lose this? What will people think? Survival is the necessary. I understand we need food, we need shelter, we need home, we need financial stability, but we are not trying to understand that repeatedly giving these survival basic instincts actually makes our mind very weak. So I'm not asking you to reject the material life. In fact, I'm asking you to, absorb the material life. But human consciousness cannot remain imprisoned there forever. So there has to be an expansion. And from what I get to how and what can I create is the question that we need to ask ourselves. From why don't I have enough to what do I already have that I can use, from how do I defeat this person. Instead of saying this, you have to think like, how do I become better than I was yesterday. So constantly affirmations, good affirmations are important, from me, mine, myself, to how can I make my existence contribute to something larger, what can I do. So this is where the scriptures become extraordinary, because suddenly they introduce you to the universe which is far larger than your immediate problems. And scriptures, they show you the vastness of the existence. Open the Bhagavad Gita, open the Upanishads, read the Shiv Puran, read the Ramayana, and read the Vastu scriptures and the traditional knowledge. So you suddenly realize how human beings have been asking profound questions for thousands of years, like, who am I, what is my dharma, and why am I so attached to my things, and what is actually attachment, and what is the right action, what is consciousness, what is death. So going to a graveyard, why it teaches us so many things. So what remains actually? What is my responsibility? What is the nature of this business is what we keep asking. And suddenly the argument you had yesterday starts looking a little smaller. The payments that hadn't arrived is still important, but it's no longer the entire universe. Your problems becomes very small. So the person who criticized you is still there, but they no longer occupy your entire consciousness. Otherwise, your whole thing is like your consciousness has been introduced to something larger than the problem. So this is what I sometimes describe in my own language as raising of your frequency. I don't mean that your problems magically disappear. I mean that you are no longer meeting the same person or the same problem with the same consciousness, because your consciousness has changed. So you are also a different person. Imagine that at what I call frequency 1, your entire consciousness is occupied by me, and then perhaps at frequency 2, you go upper and what can I do, and then at frequency 3 you think that what can I learn, and eventually at a higher level, how can I use this experience for my growth. And even maybe exactly the same, the house, everything is same, but you are not. Once you change your relationship with the problems, they also change. That is why I ask you to read more than one scripture. People sometimes ask, why so many books? Why am I writing book 1, book 2, book 3, book 4? Because just reading one scripture will not change the way you think, because here you need to change the way you think. So because every authentic text gives you another window through which to look at the existence. One teaches you dharma, the another teaches you devotion, then there is how to discipline yourself, and then architecture. The scriptures, Vastu scriptures teach you architecture, another teaches you rituals, detachment, and responsibility. Then the others force you to ask questions you had never asked yourself, and every new question can create new possibility in the mind. So that's why asking questions is very important. That is why I don't want you merely collecting books. I want you to engage with them, underline them, make notes, prepare questions, reflect, go back, read the same passage, again and again, maybe after 6 months. So you may discover that the words haven't changed, but their meaning for you has. Every time I read one verse and again I read them after a couple of days or months, there is a new meaning to it. So because the reader is not changing, it's the architecture of the mind that is changing. You don't have to understand everything. Another thing I want to tell you is that please don't say I don't understand Sanskrit, or the scriptures are not for me. Start with a good translation. That is what you have to start with. Somebody who has done good translation, and say, I mean, you keep saying I don't have 2 hours, so okay, read just 10 minutes is enough, and then you again may say I don't know where to start. So just choose any book, any book, and don't turn reading into another burden. So choose one fixed place in your house, keep it clean, keep your books there, put your phone away, and make a nice reading zone, and read slowly. Maybe just 10 pages, 5 pages to begin with is enough. And be present. Maybe you're reading but your mind is somewhere else. Don't do that. Come back to the reading, and after reading, don't immediately just run to social media and see what happens. So sit quietly for 2 minutes. Ask yourself, what did I learn today? That challenges the way I normally think. So that one question is very powerful. How you think. Your home is not merely, it's not only feeding your body. Now connect this with Vastu, and then what happens inside a home. You eat there, you sleep there, you love your family there, you also argue there, you worry there, and your children are growing up there. So your all your financial decisions, your important decisions you are taking in your house, and moreover you pray there, you have a small temple, and you make big dreams in your house. So why should we think of a house merely as walls and directions? Because a home is continuously participating in the habits of people living within it, and the people are continuously giving something back to their home. Your emotions are also waves and vibrations. If every evening one corner of your house becomes a place where you sit, study, contemplate, and become quiet, think about what you are establishing there. It's not a magic, but it's a pattern. Every day you sit at a particular time, so that it's a pattern that you're building. It is beginning to mean something to you. The moment you sit there, your mind gradually learns that, okay, this is where I become still, this is where I study, this is where I don't fight, this is where I don't see social media, this is where I expand. So now your Vastu practice is no longer merely an object placed somewhere, it has entered your behavior. So it has to come into your behavior. So Vastu also means the way you live. So this is where my understanding of Vastu becomes very, very simple. We become obsessed with what should I put in northeast, what should I remove from southeast, which color, which metal, and what stone, whether this is right, whether this place, whatever I have put is the right remedy. So these questions, they have their place. But suppose I correct every direction of your house and you continue living with the same anger, same jealousy, same fear, comparison, constant dissatisfaction, then what exactly have we corrected? Nothing. So at some point, Vastu has to enter the person. So your speech has to change, your habits has to change, your relationship with money has to change, your relationship with food has to change, your relationship with nature has to change, your relationship with other people has to change. That is where your relationship with yourself, basically, with how you treat yourself has to change. Then something very interesting happens. Initially, you're doing Vastu, you're measuring, you are placing remedies, you're placing things, you are correcting your northeast, southeast, you're learning. But after years of living consciously, after years of reading the scriptures, Vastu starts happening to you. You naturally want cleanliness, you naturally want more light, you naturally want order, you want more ventilation. So you naturally become conscious about what enters your house. You naturally become very conscious about whether people are coming in with the shoes, without the shoes, and what gradually enters your mind. So you naturally begin creating harmony instead of constantly creating conflict. You don't have to remind yourself every 5 minutes. It has become your way of living. And so the most important Vastu is sometimes invisible. People want remedies they can see, a yantra, a crystal, a metal, or colors, or the posters, or the object. But what about the invisible architecture? What about the architecture of your mind, your belief system, your fears, your habits, your prejudices, your attachment to status, and your my name, this, your obsession with comparison, your inability to forgive anybody, and your constant, giving bad words to anybody, or your constant fear of not having enough. Who is doing the Vastu of these spaces? That is why I'm asking you to read. The scriptures can become mirrors. Sometimes you will agree with what you read, and so sometimes you will struggle with, sometimes you will completely disagree. Sometimes, the verses of Vastu, you will agree, you will think, you will ask questions, and you will investigate, and you will try the remedies with your friends and family. Because the purpose here is not merely to fill your brain with information. Unless you pass on that information, knowledge is not the same as information. It becomes knowledge when you apply it on somebody. So you can know 1000 verses and remain exactly the same person. For me, the question is, has this knowledge made you kinder? Has it made you calmer? Has it made you less reactive? Or has it made you more generous? Has it increased your capacity to see another person's perspective? Or has it reduced your obsession with providing yourself all the time? Or has it taught you to handle success without any arrogance and failure, or even without collapsing? So if not, keep reading. More importantly, keep reflecting. Success is not only money, and this brings me to another very important point. We have reduced the word success to money.